Hey everyone, this is Maya Zahira with Psychic Protection Sanctuary, and this is our weekly Q&A on our Facebook group, Psychic Protection Sanctuary. And we've recently changed from a once a month Facebook Live to every week. So I hope you will join me. And if you are not watching, if you're watching this somewhere else besides our Facebook group, then you are watching the replay. And I hope you will go on Facebook and type in the search bar Psychic Protection Sanctuary and join that group. And then you'll be able to join us live every Monday at 6 p.m. Central. So let's jump in. I'm just checking out my notes here. Before we go into the topic that I have planned, we're going to just grab your pen and paper. If you're new to me, I want to give you my website. It's www.psychicprotectionsanctuary.com. And on the website, you can type in your email address, and then once you click submit, then you'll be able to receive some free gifts, a free quiz to find out if you are vulnerable to psychic attack, and another free quiz to find out if you are an empath and what kind you are. So if you're interested in either of those topics, go ahead and sign up at Psychic Protection Sanctuary. Okay. So the topic that I had planned for today is all about how to avoid accidentally cursing other people. So I talk a lot about psychic attack and about what that is, and about situations where people are, where someone is intentionally psychically attacking them. But now in today's video, we're going to talk about when you might actually be sending psychic attacks, sending a curse to a person and not even realize it. Okay, so before we get into that, I do want to let you know that the last couple of weeks I haven't always seen my comments on my Facebook Live broadcasts. So I do see we have people on here, but I don't see any comments yet. So if you are on here, go ahead and give me some hearts, some likes, or something. Say hello and tell me where you're joining from. And if you are commenting and I don't respond, then that is because I might not be able to see your comment. So one thing we've been doing to remedy that is I have been posting on the Facebook group and asking for questions ahead of time so that we can make sure to answer your question, since Facebook, we don't know what it's going to do every time. Okay, so before we get into how you might be unintentionally cursing someone, I want to just give a basic definition of what a curse is. So a curse is a type of psychic attack. So if you imagine, like, psychic attack is a big umbrella term, and then a curse is under that umbrella. And a curse is when someone intentionally or unintentionally sends negative energy to another person. Hey, we've got some comments here. Great. Hey, Becky, good to see you. Hey, Phyllis. Cool. So a curse is when someone sends negative energy to another person. It can be very specific focused, like, they're thinking, I hope such and such really bad thing happens to them. Or it can just be general negative energy, like jealousy or hatred or that sort of thing being sent towards that person, and then it will have whatever effect that it has. So a curse, a lot of times we think of intentional curse, like someone who uses black magic or some other form of energetic means to intentionally wreak havoc on a person's life and to cause harm to them. And or they speak it out loud and they say, like, I curse you, and they spit on the ground and they say, I hope this and this happens to you. in a very like official sort of way, right? So I think we often think of that as a curse. And it is. That's an intentional curse from one person to another. But there's unintentional cursing, and I'm going to tell you about what that is. We actually all do it, and so it's a matter of gaining an awareness so that you can, try to do a better job in the future. So, also, as I'm talking, hey Shantae, as I'm talking, if you have any questions, I went ahead and just planned this topic because I didn't get any questions ahead of time. So if you have any questions, I will be sure to address those if I can, even if they're not related to my topic. So this is, we're doing things differently, so I think people are getting used to it. Now every week, this is Q&A time. So you have a chance to, you've got me on live. You have a chance to ask me any questions that you may have. I don't do, personal readings. I don't do readings, but I do answer general questions about psychic protection and that whole big topic. Okay. So, unintentional curse. Let me give you some examples, and I want you to brainstorm some examples right now too. So, and if you think of any examples as I'm going, type them in as fast as you can and click the button, and then so we can all brainstorm together. Okay, one example of cursing another person is when you flip someone off in traffic, or you're like yelling and screaming at someone in traffic. Even if they can't hear you, you are sending like a big like ball of negative energy over to that car, or energy daggers, or however you want to visualize it. And they may or may not have deserved it, or whatever, whatever. They may or may not have been driving badly or whatever, but do you really have the intention of cursing that person and sending a whole bunch of negative energy to them? Here's another example. So, I had a friend who, when telemarketers would call her, she would completely cuss them out. Like, she would cuss them out up and down, and say, she wouldn't only just swear at them, but she would she would verbally say, I hope, blah, blah. She would wish all these horrible things upon them. and so verbalizing that, words and emotions have power. So when she would verbalize that to them, I hope you die a horrible death and you have this happen to you and that happen to you, that is, that you're cursing that person. So this poor telemarketer who is working this job that they probably hate is totally receiving a very emotionally charged, energetically charged curse from this person on the other end of the phone line. So is that what you really want to be doing to another person? And regardless of whether they're being a jerk or not, do you really want to be the kind of person who's cursing another person, who's causing that? So that's just, oopsie, that's a rhetorical question. You can think about the answer to that. Let's see. Okay, here's another example. So let's say that you are scrolling through Facebook and you see somebody's pictures and you feel jealous. Okay. So that jealousy, that jealous energy that gets sent out, even though you're not in person, it doesn't matter. You don't have to be in person. You don't have to be on the phone. You don't have to be any of that. They can be across the other end of the planet, and you could just be thinking about them and thinking jealous thoughts about them. It is a little bit stronger when you're in person, or you're talking on the phone, or you're on the computer and you're looking at their picture. Then that tends to create even more of an energy connection. So if you're looking at Facebook and you're scrolling through and you're I think it's a common thing that people say. I don't ever say this. I don't like this sentence that people say. But when they see someone that they're jealous of, they'll say, oh, I hate her. I hate her. Even if it's their friend, even if that person is their friend, and even if they're they think they're sort of joking, like it's their way of saying, oh, I wish I had what you had. Like they'll say that to their best friend. Oh, I hate you. You have this and this, and they're joking, but that is negative energy that they're sending to that person. So whether they're sort of joking or they're being serious in sending that jealous energy, it does have an effect. Let's say you have a business colleague. As I was making my notes, I wrote down colleague because I always think of all of the people who were doing similar work to me. I think of them as a colleague, which is a very cooperative type of word. But a lot of people would maybe think the word competitor. Well, I think competition is an illusion. It's based on fear thinking. But anyway, let's say there's a colleague / competitor, and maybe you're on Facebook, or maybe you end up looking up their website or something, and you're like, oh, they're doing this and this, or they look so successful, and then you feel that jealousy come up because you have this this incorrect belief that you can't have what they have. So that's a mindset issue, by the way, but I digress. So when you're sending jealous or hateful energy towards them, or even thinking, oh, I hope their business fails, or, whatever negative thought that you're having, you're cursing that person. So my rhetorical question is, would you want someone doing that to you? Okay. And it could also be like somebody at work. Let's say you're not a business owner, but it's somebody at work who, maybe seems to get more opportunities than you. So are you really wanting to curse them? And then I also wrote down, I have a friend who I heard her saying one time about someone that she didn't like. She was saying, I hope they suffer a horrible death, because she felt like that person had done all of these bad, she was very upset with this person. And so she said, so the things that she said were very intense. Like it was something about, I hope this person suffers a horrible death, a horrible, painful death. This is what she deserves. Saying something like that is actually verbally cursing someone. So again, my rhetorical question to that person would be, are you really you realize you're psychically attacking someone. Are you really wanting to be that kind of person who's doing that? Okay. And I'm not saying this from judgment or anything like that. It's just to get you thinking about and asking yourself those questions. Okay. What about, I thought of this funny one. What about, maybe you've said this, or your mother has said this to you, or you've seen other people say it. A mother saying to their child or their teenager, standing there and saying, I hope you have a child as bad as you are, or as argumentative as you are, or as whatever as you are, and then you'll understand. And so what the mother is doing is she's cursing her own ancestry. That's what she's doing. So this is not to make you feel bad if you've ever said that to one of your kids out of frustration. Everybody gets frustrated, but I'm just pointing out that if you say that, you're cursing your own ancestry. You're cursing your child, and you're cursing your own ancestral line. So you might not want to do that. So what we need to keep in mind, though, is that everybody's human. You're human. You're going to have times where you feel jealous, where you feel angry. And I had a situation on Saturday, and I'll share it with you briefly, just so you know. I'm definitely not standing on my loftier than thou guru throne, sitting on my guru throne. excuse me, or anything like that. Because I have stuff come up too. But before I tell you that story, we've got a couple of comments here. Becky says, my mom said this and added that she hopes we have kids like our siblings too. And it happened. Laughing smiley face. Phyllis, wow, never would have thought of it that way. Yeah. Yeah, it's like there's so many ways that we curse other people, and we don't even, like, it's just common stuff that we don't even think about, right? So let me tell you my story about last Saturday. So I was getting ready to teach a Reiki class on Sunday. And if you don't know what Reiki is, it's just a form of energy healing. And I have these manuals that I have printed. And so I had ordered a week prior to class, I had ordered from Office Depot or, I think it was Office Depot. I ordered my manuals, and I thought, I live way out in the middle of nowhere. I live way out in the country. It's not way out in the middle of nowhere, but it's not as convenient to just stop by the store to pick them up. And I thought, well, why don't I go ahead and do the mail order option? It's not called mail order, it's delivery. So they print it and then they deliver it to your house. And I thought, well, I hope I get them in time for class. But when I went through the online checkout, I paid for the manuals, and then at checkout it said, will be delivered by Thursday. Well, my class was going to be on Sunday, so no problem, right? So Thursday comes and goes, and intuitively I knew that this was going to be a problem, but that's that's an example of me not listening to my own intuition. I was hoping because it would be more convenient, but anyway, so Thursday came and went, and there was no delivery. So I checked my online orders, and it said that they'd been printed, but they hadn't been delivered yet. Okay, maybe they'll come on Friday. Friday comes and goes, no delivery. So Saturday morning, I'm like, okay, since I can't take a chance, since they haven't been delivered yet, I need to just reorder them and then click the pick up at store option and go and pick them up myself at the store that's 20 minutes away. Excuse me. And so I did that. I placed the order. I did everything that I should do. I called and I said, this is what happened. I placed my order again. I want you guys to print it in store, and I'll come by and pick it up. And I was like, well, I'm hoping to come and pick it up in an hour. And she said, well, we have another print job ahead of you, but we will try to have it ready. And she was very nice. So instead of showing up in an hour, I thought, let me give them extra time. So I showed up in 2 hours. And when I showed up, that lady wasn't there, but there was this guy behind the counter. Looked like he was maybe 10 years older than me. He seemed like a good guy. Okay. But sorry about that. But to me, he clearly didn't have a clue. Wow, I have this like major tickle in my throat happening right now. And just so you know, now sometimes a tickle is just a tickle, but I think what's happening is, as I'm talking this out, there's definitely some throat energy center balancing that's happening, so excuse the coughing. Anyway, so long story short, he did not know what the F he was doing. So part of the order had been printed, and he said, well, the lady that printed part of this, she went on her lunch break. And like all the manuals were printed, but the Reiki certificates were not printed. She was like this close to finishing my job. So like, even if you don't know what all that is, she was like this close. She had one little final teeny tiny thing to do, but she decided to go on her hour lunch break. And so I was like, oh my God. So I appreciated that she pushed my job forward, but I was already like really late for my next thing because of the manual thing. So So I'm standing there, and he has the computer screen turned, and he's like staring at the computer screen, and he's like looking around, and he doesn't know where to find anything. He's like he doesn't know what he's doing. And so I feel my internal, like, impatience and anger. I feel it like going up, 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 up. And I'm usually a very patient person, but one of my personal triggers is when I have like deadlines, or if I have like time pressure. Some people love time pressure. I don't like it. It really stresses me out. And the fact that I ended up having too much that I had to get done in one day, and I was trying to get this done, and I'm like, oh my God. Anyway, so anyway, very long story, a little bit less long. Um, so I'm standing there, and I'm realizing I really want to yell at this guy. I want to say, don't you know what you're doing? Can't you just get my documents? I am late. I gotta go. This is your fault, or whatever. I just was getting so frustrated because like on every step of the way, I was hitting roadblocks, like things weren't getting done, and then people didn't know what they were doing, and then I'm like just trying to get something very simple done, and I'm like taking a deep breath because I know I don't want to speak unkindly to him, because what I found out, because I asked him, I tried to ask really nice. I said, are you new? Like, did you just start? And he said, no. I said, oh, I'm thinking I'm kind of confused because he does not have a clue what he's doing. And he said, but I don't usually work in this department. I usually work over there. And I was like, okay. So he was filling in and just standing there. Oh gosh. I lost you guys for a second. He was standing in for the gal who was on lunch. So I'm thinking, I don't want to yell at anybody. I'm not that kind of person. But I'm also like, he's trying to help me. He doesn't know how. I don't want to yell at this guy just because I'm frustrated. That doesn't mean he needs to be the brunt of it. But, so even though I kept my cool verbally, I'm certain he could still hear the tone in my voice that I was trying really hard to be nice, but I know he's not a dummy. He could hear that I was getting frustrated, right? But not only that, but my energy, all this frustrated energy was like coming out of me towards him, and I knew it. So I'm trying to like take deep breaths. Now in the moment, if I had been able to, but actually at the time I was too frustrated, so I couldn't. But in the moment, if I could have just breathed and grounded that energy, but I ended up, the gal came back from lunch. We were able to finish the order, and then I was able to leave. And after I left, then I was able to like ground a little bit, and then I sent some positive energy his way, because I didn't want my funky energy in that moment. It's totally unnecessary for it to ruin his day, right? He doesn't deserve that. And even if you feel like someone does deserve it, that's not for you to choose. That's my humble opinion. So as I was driving away, I was sending him some positive vibes and intentions for him to have a good day. And I was like, I'm sorry. I was really trying to send, to be in a positive energy at the time. But in that instance, I wasn't like it was more like my junk was spilling over onto him. And it was kind of being directed towards him too, because I was thinking he was just being a total dummy. And it was so frustrating. And I'm sure you've dealt with people like that at a store when you're trying to get assistance and you're like, oh my God, I'm just trying to get help. So that's my story. So it happened to me. I don't get annoyed like that very often, but it was just kind of like, everything, it was just one of those days, right? And then that got me to thinking about how, most of us are so unaware of how we're sending negative energy to other people. And that's actually what as I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about today, um, that story is what gave me the idea. Okay, so before I go in, I've got a couple of tips. I've got 3 steps for you. But before I go into that, I want to read a couple of comments. Phyllis says, I've had jealousy issues with a woman I went to school with, me being jealous of her, that is. Okay, and then Kimmy says, I run a nonprofit specializing in the search for missing persons. On the search now for a missing man of 74 years suffering with dementia. Any help would be appreciated. I'm not sure how this comment got on here because that's really weird. We've never had, that's like, I mean, I'm sorry that person is missing, but that's not, it's almost like a spam comment. So that's a little bit weird. So let's keep it to topic, you guys. Shantae, I think I accidentally cursed my stepson's dog last night when I got home from class. Oh my. Okay. So let me give you a couple of tips. And I want to just remind everybody, just, be forgiving with yourself. We're all human. Part of the human condition is it involves having emotions, being messy sometimes, and having some negative experiences. So just forgive yourself for any of those past times when you may have accidentally or maybe even a little bit on purpose cursed somebody. There's a couple of steps that you can take in the future, and some of this you can apply to things that have happened in the past as well. So first of all, so I've got 3 steps for you, and if you want to write them down, you can. First of all, practice self-awareness. And I use the word practice on purpose because it takes ongoing practice to become more self-aware. So practice self-awareness, noticing what kind of energy or emotions am I projecting? What kind of energy or emotions am I projecting at this person? So in each moment as you go through the day, take a moment and check in with yourself. What kind of energy or emotions am I projecting at this person right now? Okay. And you don't have to judge yourself or be like, oh my God, I'm so bad. Then you're cursing yourself. Okay. Don't curse yourself either. So just notice with curiosity, just notice without judgment. And then the second step is you're going to just notice, breathe, and ground. So in step 1, you're just practicing self-awareness on a regular basis. Step 2 actually has 3 parts: notice, breathe, ground. So notice what's happening with your energy and your emotions. Just breathe, take a deep breath. Anytime you're upset and you take a few deep breaths, that helps, right? So take 1 or more slow, deep breaths and focus on just grounding your energy, okay? And then as you ground, you're allowing any of that chaotic energy or that negative energy to also just be pulled down to the ground. So instead of it, being out here, being sent to the other person, you're actually sending it down to the earth. And the way that you do that, just take a few deep breaths, really simple. Okay. And then step 3, let's say you have sent some negative energy their way, or maybe you think you probably did, then after the fact, or even during, while you're engaging with them, even when you're having those emotions, you intentionally in your mind send them a blessing. It can be just a feeling that you're sending them, a feeling of blessing, or you can say a sentence like, may you be blessed, may you have a blessed day, or God bless you, or whatever your language might be, okay? So you just send them a blessing. For me, with the print store situation, I was so frustrated in the moment that I couldn't do it in the moment, and that's okay. I did the best that I could. So then I drove away, and as I was driving away, like when I was physically away from the situation, I was able to breathe and go, oh man, I do feel a little bad about the energy I was sending to that person. And I was trying not to, but it spilled over. I know that it did. So I'm just going to breathe. And in that deep breath, I'm releasing my own judgment of myself too. So take a deep breath and then send a prayer. I did say a little prayer for that person, and in hopes, intending that he receive positive energy and that he have a really good day, and that after I left, that someone really nice came up to him and helped make his day. So those are the 3 steps. Being more self-aware, practicing that every day, every moment, practice being more self-aware. Number 2, notice, breathe, and ground. Notice, breathe, and then ground your energy. Send that energy down into the earth. And number 3, send them a blessing. That's all you have to do. And you might still feel annoyed with telemarketers. You can acknowledge that, or whoever's annoying you, but you can still send them a blessing, because you don't know what's going on in their life and why they have a telemarketing job, or why they're driving crazy and deserving to be flipped off or whatever. You don't know what's going on with them. So just send them a blessing. Okay. One thing, not only do you want to avoid intentionally or unintentionally cursing another person, simply because you're a good person and you don't want to be doing that to people, but also when we send that kind of energy to other people, we end up unintentionally creating energy cords between you and the person, and you also end up unintentionally causing a karmic bond, so that it's like you're tethered to each other. If it's just a really quick encounter, like driving in traffic, it's not going to be as powerful. But if your emotions are super, super strong, the stronger the situation, the stronger that energetic tether, that energetic cord. So you don't want that with a whole bunch of random people, or even anybody. It's a negative energy attachment. So you want to avoid that. And let's see. Phyllis says, oh man, I accidentally cursed one of my cats last night. Yeah, so not only do we do it to people, but to our animals too. So, just forgive yourself for that past moment, and then give your cat some love. Give your cat, I know you know Reiki, so give your cat some Reiki or some love, or give it a hug. Here's some more comments that I didn't see. Phyllis says, he's so sweet, but he's so needy sometimes, and I let my anxiety get the best of me. Yeah, I totally get it. Phyllis says, I just flipped off some political figures about an hour ago. I've got to work on things. Yeah, I totally understand the feeling of wanting to flip off certain political figures. But if we really think about it, is that going to help them to run their country in a better way? Is our curse going to help them run their country better it's not going to have the result. I mean, you might feel better at first because you've got all of this frustration, right? Yeah. So I don't want to encourage you to have to micromanage yourself all the time. That's definitely not where we're going to, but you definitely want to have an awareness. And you know, if you're frustrated with somebody, whether it's a public figure or whoever, you can allow yourself the opportunity to let out your frustration, but just do it intentionally. So rather than looking at their picture and flipping them off, or looking at them on the screen or whatever, or saying their name and cursing them, you can like express your frustration in a non-personal sort of way. So you're not looking at their picture, you're not stating their name, you're not speaking to them in person doing this, but you feel that frustration fill you up. You feel it, and then you can let it out. You know, beat a pillow, yell, "Ah, I'm so frustrated. This is so annoying." But you're not directing it at that person. And you can also imagine that there's like, you know, just like use your imagination. You can imagine that there's like a divine bucket on the floor, and you're just going to yell, "Ha ha, blah." Yeah, you know, just shoot all that stuff into the bucket and let your angels take it away. And that way it's not being directed to the person. Intention is so powerful. So whatever creative idea that you can come up with, so that you're not directing it at a person or an animal or a location or a country or wherever you might be directing it towards, rather than directing it towards anyone or anything specific, you can release that energy intentionally, maybe down into the earth. I am a big believer that Mother Earth, she can recycle anything. And, you know, she can take compost, and like she can literally take shit and turn it into flowers. So you're not going to hurt Mother Earth by sending that energy down. Even when even though I know that, I still say thank you and bless Mother Earth after I do that, just to help that composting process along. And Phyllis says no. After she flipped off these political figures, she said no, and I still don't feel better. Right, because it didn't change the issue. So that's how that works. Okay, you guys, we are just about done. Do we have any, I'm going to give you about 10 seconds to, if you have any other questions about anything, this is our Q&A. So if you have any other questions, you can ask. I can be on for a couple more minutes before I get ready to teach my evening class. And while I'm waiting to see if there's any more comments, I want to just remind everybody that you can go to my website, Psychic Protection Sanctuary, www.psychicprotectionsanctuary.com. And there's free videos, there's tons of information on there. And there's a couple different ways that you can work with me, and group programs, and a couple of free quizzes that you can, if you submit your email address, you can get some free gifts, and it's a great resource site. So I encourage you to go there. And I don't see any other comments, so I think we are done for this time. Remember to join me every Monday evening at the Facebook group Psychic Protection Sanctuary. And until next week, I hope everybody has a great week. And I'm out here on the Kansas prairie. It is a hot Kansas day. You've probably seen me like during the time that I've been talking, like getting more and more glistening because it's really hot out here. It's the middle of summer. And that's how it goes. So you're welcome, Shantae. Phyllis says, that's a good idea. The send to the earth thing. That is, I find that my vision is clearer, literally and figuratively, when I ground. Yes. So your energy will be cleaner, and also the energy of whoever you may have been sending that the negative vibes to. Like the energy is going to be cleaner all around if you just send it down into the earth. And for those who don't want to send it down into the earth, you can imagine that you're sending it into a sacred bowl or container and ask your angels to take it away to the divine to be healed and blessed and transmuted. Okay, everybody, until next time, everybody have a great week. Sending you all my love.